So, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because around this time of year, you kind of think, oh, everyone's off work, but there are a lot of us who are still working. And can you be made to work on Christmas Day? Can companies make you?
The answer to that is yes. Check your contract of employment, but most employees will have a policy around the festive period. If they need you to work on Christmas Day, it's like any other bank holiday. It's like Easter Sunday or Monday bank holiday. If your employer needs you to work, then they can call you in. And if you do want a holiday, then just put your holiday request in early, but your employer, like any other bank holiday, they can refuse it.
And are you entitled to be paid more if you do work on Christmas Day?
There's no automatic right to enhanced pay on Christmas Day. Check your contract of employment to see whether you are entitled to time and a half. But if it's silent, then unfortunately, it's just normal standard pay.
Yeah. If your workplace is closed at Christmas, do you have to take that time off then as annual leave, given you can't go into work anyway?
Your employer can ask you to save out of your holiday allowance a period of time for you to take over the festive period. And the rule is generally, however many days they want you to take off. So say they want you to take 5 days off because the office or your workplace is closed for 5 days, they've got to give you double the amount of notice. So they've got to give you 10 days notice. And they can ask you to take it out of your holiday allowance, so just be aware of that.
Yeah, so they can't just suddenly spring it on you last minute.
No, they can't. They've got to give you double the notice for the number of days that they want you to take off.
It's really hard, isn't it, for any bosses trying to do the Christmas rota, because you can never please everyone.
You
but
can't.
there might be some people who feel like it always ends up being them who works the most at Christmas, or, you know, ends up always on Christmas Day being the day they do. Is there anything you can do about that if you think you're always the one with the worst option?
It's really difficult for employers, this, and employees. You got that absolutely right. Most employees will have some kind of policy on how they decide who works on Christmas Day. It might just be as simple as Christmas Day falls on a Friday, so everybody that was rostered to work on Friday will work on a Friday, and then fingers crossed next year it won't be your day. Other employers will ask employees to volunteer, and if there's a shortfall, they might just do something as simple as pick a name out of a hat. The reality is, if you are chosen to work, you do have to work, and you may face disciplinary action if you don't. If you have got an issue with the way you were selected, so say, for example, you think you've been discriminated against or unfairly chosen, you can raise a grievance policy, and you can invoke the grievance policy with your employer by making a formal grievance. Contact ACAS, they can help you, or the Labour Relations Agency in Northern Ireland if you choose to do that. Before you do that, you might just want to have an informal chat with your employer about the fact that you're unhappy with how you've been selected.
For some businesses, it can be incredibly busy at Christmas, you know, often the busiest time of year for them. Can your employers do anything about your breaks? I.e., can they say, do you know what, we're just going to be too busy today, I'm going to cut your break down, or you're not going to have time for a break? Can they do that?
No, absolutely no, they can't. You can't opt out of the working time regulation. So if you are working for 6 hours or more, you're entitled to a 20-minute break within that period. It should really be somewhere around the middle. It can't just be at the start or the end. If you're 16 or 17, you work for 4.5 hours, it's 30 minutes, slightly more if you're younger. What your employer cannot do is just say, no, we're scrapping breaks, it's Christmas period, we're busy. They're absolutely not allowed to do that. It's unlawful of them to do that. What they could do is, if they see an exceptional surge in activity, or there's an emergency, or they're really busy that day, they can ask you, are you prepared to forego your break on this occasion? And you can make that decision looking at the bigger picture, whether you do, but they can't absolutely say you're not taking breaks. And if they do that on a regular basis, then the reality is they're understaffed. It's not an emergency, and they need to recruit more.
There's so much going on as well at Christmas with kids, isn't there? You know, and for parents or grandparents, it might be a time when they want to go and see them in nativity plays or whatever. I know they're all slightly different this year, but are you allowed to get time off for that?
Again, there's no automatic right for time off to go and watch your children in a nativity play, so put your request in early. Look, nobody wants to be the parent, and I know this year they're slightly different, aren't they? Some schools are allowing you in, others are doing it via Zoom, and you're watching. But if you work in a shop, or you work in a hospital, or you're a driver, even though the play may be on Zoom, you've still got to be able to have the time off to go away and watch it. So put your request in early. There's no automatic right for your employer to give it you, and just because you're a parent, you're not top of any pecking order. What I would say is try and bargain with your employer, try and have some leeway with them. So maybe you want to pick up some unpopular shifts in exchange for allowing that time. And if they do let you have that time off to go and watch the nativity play or carol concert or whatever it may be, just be reasonable and good as an employer. You know, go to the play, do what you've got to do. Don't disappear off for a coffee with the parents and get straight back to work. And it's ho, ho, ho for everybody.
Good advice as ever.